What if some of the things we've been taught about aging deserve a closer look? What if the wrinkles, fatigue, and changes we associate with getting older aren't simply the result of time passing, but are also influenced by the way our mind, body, and overall state interact? Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt surprised by how quickly things seem to change, wondering when exactly time started moving so fast? For decades, we've often viewed aging as an unavoidable process, a biological clock gradually moving toward decline. But what if there were another way to think about that process? What if our sense of vitality and well-being could be influenced by the signals we send through our thoughts, emotions, habits, and daily state? This isn't about promising instant transformation or turning back time overnight. Instead, it's an exploration of how consciousness, relaxation, sound, and intentional practices may influence the way we experience our bodies and our sense of vitality. The work of Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychologist and pioneer of analytical psychology, offers an interesting framework for exploring the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. Jung devoted much of his life to understanding how our inner world shapes our perception, behavior, and experience of reality. His ideas invite us to look beyond the surface and consider how deeply our beliefs, emotions, and unconscious patterns can influence the way we experience ourselves. From this perspective, aging can be explored not only as a biological process, but also as an experience influenced by our mental and emotional state. While this doesn't mean that aging can simply be erased, it does suggest that practices supporting relaxation, self-awareness, and a healthier mind-body connection may help us feel more balanced, energized, and connected to ourselves. And what's especially fascinating is how modern neuroscience continues to explore the powerful relationship between the brain, perception, stress, and the body's ability to adapt. When we begin to understand these connections, even a few intentional minutes each day can become an opportunity to pause, reset, and create a more supportive environment for our overall well-being. The concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to adapt and form new neural connections, offers an interesting parallel to some of Jung's ideas about inner transformation. Modern science explores concepts such as vagal tone, nervous system regulation, and parasympathetic activation, while Jung focused on the ways our inner patterns and unconscious processes can influence how we experience ourselves and the world around us. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to explore may give you a completely different perspective on your body, your mind, and your relationship with time. But before we begin, please take a moment to hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating to see people from different places coming together for these conversations. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. This approach invites us to think about biological age not simply as a fixed number, but as part of an ongoing relationship between our biology, our environment, our habits, and our state of mind. And like any relationship, there may be ways to support it through the messages we repeatedly give ourselves, through our thoughts, emotions, breathing, relaxation, and daily practices. The question isn't necessarily whether we can literally turn back the clock. Instead, it's whether we can develop a healthier and more supportive relationship with our bodies and the way we experience aging. If you're ready to explore this journey of self-awareness, rejuvenation, and mind-body connection, consider subscribing to the channel. Here, we explore powerful ideas from psychology, ancient wisdom, and modern research that can help us better understand ourselves. One of the most fascinating ideas in this journey is that our experience of biological time may be more complex than we once imagined. Our bodies are constantly responding to information from within and around us. Cells don't simply exist in isolation. They respond to chemical signals, environmental conditions, stress, nutrition, sleep, and countless other influences. Jung's perspective encourages us to look at this process from another angle, Our inner world also matters. The beliefs we carry, the emotions we suppress, and the patterns we repeat can shape how we experience our bodies and our lives. Rather than thinking of aging as a destiny written completely in stone, we can view it as a complex biological process that unfolds through an ongoing conversation between our genetics, environment, lifestyle, nervous system, and psychological state. Your body isn't simply a machine that wears down with time. It's a living, adaptive system constantly responding to the world around you. And by becoming more aware of that relationship, we may discover meaningful ways to support greater balance, vitality, and well-being throughout the aging process. And within this relationship, information can play an important role in shaping how we experience our bodies and our lives. The decisions we make, the thoughts we return to, and the emotional states we cultivate can influence our overall sense of well-being from moment to moment. Now, I want to go a little deeper by sharing a simple breathing practice that brings these ideas into everyday life. It's called the 555 breathing technique, and its simplicity is part of what makes it so accessible. Breath can be a powerful bridge between our inner and outer worlds. It's something we always carry with us, yet we often don't pay much attention to it. When you breathe with intention using a steady rhythm, inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and exhale for 5 seconds. You create a moment of stillness that can help you become more aware of your body and your state of mind. In Jungian-inspired practices, numbers and patterns can sometimes be used as symbols for transformation and reflection. The pattern 555 can therefore become a meaningful personal reminder, a signal that you're choosing to pause, step away from stress, and create space for greater calm and awareness. There is also a physiological side to intentional breathing. Slow, controlled breathing can support relaxation and influence the activity of the autonomic nervous system, including pathways associated with the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic response. Rather than viewing this as an instant age reversal mechanism, think of it as a simple practice that may help your body move toward a calmer, more regulated state. What makes this technique appealing is its simplicity. You don't need expensive equipment or years of training. You simply need a few quiet minutes, your breath, and your attention. On a physical level, intentional breathing can help you slow down and settle your nervous system. On an emotional level, it can create a greater sense of calm and presence. And on a reflective level, it can help you reconnect with the way you're feeling in the present moment. The real power of the practice may be found in the intention behind it. Instead of constantly thinking about stress, exhaustion, or the passage of time, you're giving yourself a few moments to communicate a different message. I am safe enough to slow down. I can take care of myself. I can create space for renewal. With each 555 breath cycle, allow yourself to imagine that you're supporting your body's natural ability to restore balance and vitality. You don't have to chase youth or fight the aging process. You can simply become more present with your body and more intentional about how you care for it. And if this idea resonates with you, write in the comments, "My vibration commands my time." Let those words serve as a personal reminder to become more conscious of how you spend your energy, attention, and time. Breathing may be one simple piece of this journey, but it's certainly not the whole story. There are other fascinating ways to explore the connection between your mind, body, emotions, and sense of vitality, and that's where our journey gets even more interesting. To explore your body's natural capacity for renewal, it's helpful to bring attention back to the body itself, the physical part of us through which we experience life and consciousness. This is where the idea of 6 Japanese-inspired movements can become especially interesting in our modern exploration of balance, vitality, and well-being. Your body isn't simply a collection of muscles and bones. It's a living, responsive system that is constantly interacting with your thoughts, emotions, environment, and movement. Every gesture and every movement can influence how connected or disconnected we feel within ourselves. When we become stressed, inactive, or disconnected from our bodies, that sense of imbalance can affect the way we experience energy, tension, and vitality. The 6 movements offer a gentle pathway toward greater awareness and physical coherence. Rather than thinking of them as magical exercises that can literally rewrite biological time, consider them intentional movement patterns designed to help you reconnect with your breath, posture, body, and inner awareness. In this sequence, each movement carries its own symbolic purpose. Rising tide, root awakening, meridian tap, dragon spiral, centering descent, and closing seal. Together, they create a simple ritual of movement, attention, and reflection. Rising tide begins the practice by encouraging you to lengthen your posture and bring your awareness upward, creating a feeling of openness and vitality. Root awakening brings your attention downward, helping you feel grounded and connected to the surface beneath you. Meridian tap introduces gentle rhythmic tapping, encouraging you to become more aware of different areas of your body. Dragon spiral uses slow, circular movements to release physical tension and create a greater sense of fluidity and freedom. Centering descent gradually brings your attention inward, encouraging calm breathing and greater awareness of your center. And finally, closing seal gives you a moment to pause, breathe, and integrate the experience before returning to your day. The changes you notice through a practice like this don't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. You might simply feel a little lighter, more relaxed, more focused, or more connected to your body. Some people describe a sense of clarity that feels surprisingly different from their usual state of mind. Rather than assuming these movements bypass the conscious mind or directly reorganize biological time, we can simply view them as a way of creating a deeper conversation between movement, attention, breath, and bodily awareness. And sometimes, that simple reconnection is where the most meaningful transformation begins. What can make these movements feel more meaningful than ordinary exercise is the way they can be combined with breath and intention. When movement, breathing, and conscious awareness come together, the practice can create a deeper sense of connection between the mind and body. Jung placed great importance on patterns, balance, and psychological integration. From that perspective, the way we perceive, feel, and move can influence how we experience ourselves and the world around us. When we feel overwhelmed or disconnected, our thoughts, emotions, and physical state can sometimes feel scattered. But when you slow your breathing, move with awareness, and bring a clear intention into each gesture, you're creating a simple message for yourself. Come back to balance. Rather than thinking of this as literally rewriting your biological information, consider it a practice of supporting greater awareness, relaxation, and mind-body connection. The impact of this kind of synchronized practice can extend beyond the few minutes you spend moving. Think of it like conducting an orchestra, where each instrument represents a different part of your experience, your breath, body, attention, emotions, and thoughts. When these elements begin working together, you may notice a greater sense of calm and inner harmony. Perhaps one of the most meaningful changes is the shift in how you see your own body. Instead of viewing it only through the lens of decline and aging, you can begin to see it as an adaptive system that responds to how you treat it, with movement, rest, nourishment, attention, and care. And if you're feeling connected to these ideas, type in the comments, "I speak the language of renewal." If you enjoy exploring the relationship between consciousness, psychology, wellness, and aging, consider subscribing so you don't miss our future videos. What makes this approach so appealing is that it doesn't require expensive equipment or complicated routines. One of its greatest strengths is simply consistency. A few intentional minutes each day can become a small ritual of self-care, a chance to breathe, move, reflect, and reconnect with yourself. Supporting healthy aging isn't necessarily about one dramatic moment of transformation. It can be about the small choices we repeat over time, gradually shaping our habits, our mindset, and our relationship with our bodies. And sometimes, the most powerful changes begin with something remarkably simple: showing up for yourself, one conscious breath and one intentional movement at a time. Youth, when viewed from a broader perspective, doesn't have to be understood only as a physical state that disappears with the passage of time. It can also represent a sense of vitality, openness, curiosity, and connection that we can continue to nurture throughout our lives. Each time you practice the 6 movements alongside 555 breathing, you're doing more than simply moving your body. You're creating a consistent ritual that brings together movement, breath, attention, and intention. Over time, repetition can help reinforce healthier habits and a deeper awareness of how you feel within your body. Jung placed great importance on remembering and reconnecting with the deeper parts of ourselves. From a Jungian perspective, one of the challenges of life can be losing touch with our sense of meaning, vitality, and inner connection. Not necessarily losing some literal vibrational state, but becoming disconnected from the parts of ourselves that make us feel fully alive. A daily ritual can serve as an anchor. It gives you a few quiet moments to step away from automatic routines, slow down, and reconnect with yourself. Rather than imagining that biological time simply stops, you can use these moments to become more intentional about how you experience your body, your thoughts, and your life. Modern neuroscience offers an interesting parallel through the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and strengthen neural connections through experience and repetition. Consistent practices can help reinforce patterns of attention, relaxation, movement, and behavior. This doesn't mean that a few exercises can literally reverse aging or rewrite your biology. But it does remind us that the brain and body are dynamic systems that respond to our repeated experiences. And that's why the quality of your attention during practice may matter more than performing every movement perfectly. Now, let's go a little deeper into one of the most interesting ideas in this journey. Perhaps we don't have to think of ourselves as powerless against the passage of time. Instead, we can recognize that we have some influence over how we respond to it through our habits, mindset, relationships, movement, rest, and the way we care for ourselves. Youth, in this sense, becomes less about trying to become younger and more about cultivating a daily sense of vitality. With consistent practice, you may begin to notice subtle changes in how you experience yourself. You might feel more present, more comfortable in your body, lighter in your movements, or simply more connected to the moment. And those changes can become visible in surprisingly simple ways. Your face may appear more relaxed. Your posture may become more open. Your movements may feel more natural and fluid. You may even notice a renewed sense of brightness in your expression. These aren't necessarily signs that you've reversed biological aging. They can simply be signs that you're becoming more relaxed, more present, and more connected with yourself. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful forms of renewal, not fighting time, but learning how to live within it with greater awareness, vitality, and intention. And with time, a sense of natural vitality may begin to emerge without forcing it. You can gradually move from feeling like someone who is constantly trying to improve their health to someone who is simply learning to live in greater balance with their body and their deeper sense of self. This shift in perspective may be one of the most meaningful parts of the entire process. The moment when you stop constantly fighting against the idea of aging and begin focusing, instead, on supporting renewal, vitality, and well-being. If you've ever experienced moments when you suddenly felt lighter, clearer, calmer, or more alive, even for a short time, share it in the comments. I recognize this frequency. The words we speak to ourselves and the intentions we hold can have a meaningful influence on our thoughts, emotions, habits, and overall state of mind. Rather than thinking of them as literal commands controlling our cells, we can view them as reminders that help direct our attention toward the way we want to live. That's why the declaration, "I move because I want to keep moving," can be more than just a motivational phrase. It can become a personal reminder to value movement, flexibility, vitality, and the ability to participate fully in life. When you repeat an intention with genuine conviction, you're reinforcing a mindset that focuses on possibility rather than limitation. And over time, that mindset can influence the choices you make, how you move, how you rest, how you care for yourself, and how you respond to the natural changes that come with age. Perhaps the deeper lesson is that choosing vitality doesn't have to come from fear of getting older. It can come from appreciation for the body you have today and a genuine desire to care for it. With each conscious movement, each steady breath, and each moment of presence, you're giving yourself an opportunity to reconnect with the feeling, "I am supporting renewal." This doesn't mean that thoughts alone can directly command every biological process, but our mental and emotional states can influence the way we behave, recover from stress, and care for ourselves, and those everyday choices matter. Jung's work encourages us to explore how deeply our inner world can shape our experience of life. The body, meanwhile, is constantly adapting to its environment and responding to countless physical and psychological influences. From this perspective, vitality doesn't have to be something reserved for the young or determined entirely by genetics. It can also be something we nurture through movement, rest, connection, curiosity, self-awareness, and consistent care. And perhaps this is the most empowering way to think about aging, not as a battle you have to win, but as a natural process that you can meet with greater awareness, compassion, and vitality. Rather than seeing vitality as something that simply disappears with time, we can choose to think of it as something we can continue to nurture through our daily choices, a reflection of how we care for our body, our mind, and our overall well-being. The idea of renewal has always been part of the human experience. Perhaps what we sometimes lose isn't our ability to feel alive, but our connection to the habits and practices that help us feel that way. Now, let's go a little deeper and explore how you can bring this perspective into your everyday life. One of the beautiful things about this approach is that it doesn't require hours of your time or complicated equipment. You can begin with just 3 intentional minutes each day, a small appointment with yourself and your well-being. This isn't about adding another demanding task to your schedule. Instead, think of it as creating a simple ritual of remembrance, a deliberate pause where you step away from the rush of the day and reconnect with your body, your breath, and your intentions. By practicing the 555 breathing rhythm alongside the 6 movements with full attention, you're creating an opportunity to slow down and become more aware of yourself. Rather than trying to control your biological future, you're choosing to participate more consciously in the way you care for your body and experience the passage of time. The key is consistency, not intensity. You might choose a quiet moment after waking up to begin your day with greater awareness, or practice before bed as a way to unwind and settle your mind. What matters most is finding a time that feels realistic and sustainable for you. And during those 3 minutes, allow yourself to focus on the quality of your attention. Let your intention be simple. I choose renewal, I choose balance, I choose to care for myself. As you continue the practice day after day, you may begin to notice subtle changes, not necessarily dramatic signs of biological reversal, but perhaps a greater sense of calm, awareness, mobility, or connection with your body. You may feel more present in your daily life. Your mind may feel a little clearer. Your movements may become more intentional, and you may begin to see time not only as something that changes us, but also as an opportunity to continue learning, growing, and caring for ourselves. If you're feeling inspired to begin this journey, write in the comments, "I choose the frequency of youth." And as we come to this moment of completion, I want to acknowledge the journey we've shared together. We've explored the fascinating relationship between consciousness, movement, breath, psychology, and our experience of aging. The idea that our inner state can influence how we experience our bodies is a powerful invitation, not to fight against aging, but to develop a more conscious and compassionate relationship with it. Because perhaps true renewal isn't about turning back the clock. Perhaps it's about learning how to meet every moment with greater presence, vitality, and appreciation for the life we're living right now. If something you've heard today resonates with you, perhaps touching on an idea you've sensed deep within yourself, but haven't quite been able to put into words, I'd love to have you be part of our community. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to continue exploring thoughtful practices, ancient perspectives, and emerging ideas about the relationship between the mind, body, and our experience of well-being. The practice we've explored today, just 3 minutes of intentional breathing and gentle movement, is a simple place to begin. It offers an opportunity to slow down, become more present, and explore how breath, movement, attention, and intention can work together. Each video I create is another piece of a much larger conversation about human potential, self-awareness, and the many ways we can support our well-being. If this message reached you at a meaningful moment, let me know in the comments. My cells are listening. Your experience matters, and your perspective may encourage someone else who is exploring similar ideas. And if you found value in today's journey, consider leaving a like. It helps this video reach more people who may be interested in exploring the connection between consciousness, breath, movement, and personal transformation. There's another video waiting for you right here that explores the brainwave patterns and nervous system responses associated with slow, intentional breathing. It takes us a little deeper into what research can tell us about practices like these and how they may influence our experience of relaxation and awareness. Click there and continue the journey with me as we explore the fascinating relationship between ancient practices and modern understanding. Remember, living with greater balance and awareness isn't something you have to achieve once and maintain forever. It's something you can return to with each conscious breath, each intentional movement, and each moment of presence. The journey continues, and I'm honored to walk it with you.